good morning or afternoon where we're at now, and thank you. Yeah, I know we've talked about the really important things, but I do think it's often a conversation, and now is a really good time in terms of what's happening nationally, to focus on technology in the classroom. And I appreciate many of the conversations we'll talk about will end up being about that's going to cost and our budgets don't stand for it, and I get that. But there are also ways to be creative with what we've already got. And because I was listening earlier, Jason, I think when it comes to technology and kids, they're autonomous or something. Is that correct? Yeah, that one, exactly. So we can capitalise sometimes on where young people are. And so the question really was, why discuss today, other than the fact we've got you hostage before you can leave? And one of the things is, what's happening at the moment? From a national perspective, there is a really big focus on how we realise the potential of technology in education. Now you could argue part of the reason for that is if we can use technology to work more efficiently, that can be a positive in terms of teacher workload and retention, but it's also playing to the skills of how young people learn and how that can have a role in efficiency, whether it's teaching and learning, assessment, all the different strands that go together. And I think, although as governors, as we rightly discussed earlier on, we all bring a completely different mix of skills to the table, we still have that key set of skills in our toolbox, which is, are we, why aren't we, what could we do, and to ask the appropriate questions. So today was a little bit about some of the questions we could ask. I'm then going to give you a little bit of experience using Becky Waters from Dogstop about a project that's already been done at a school in Peterborough. And then, because I know you'll be really excited, we're going to show you a few AR apps that your school could use with its existing kit for no extra spend that could actually enhance some of the classroom experience. Maybe you can be the judge of it. So the first thing is, does technology actually have a part to play in a school environment? Do you think there's a role for it to take? Certainly if anybody claims it's the panacea to everything, they're fools, because that's not the case. Do we get the most out of the tech we already have? You know, the first question often in schools that are saying we're looking to buy a new kit is, are we using the current kit we've got the most effectively that we could do? And then we've got, can we afford to implement? And I appreciate wearing hats in different roles. Normally the conversation is not really. But you have to have a plan, you have to have an objective of where you're going to go, and then you see how that can dovetail into that longer term spending. How do we go about doing it is often a big challenge, and who else has already done it? You know, as governors, our first skill is to go and assimilate from other people, to see what others are doing, pick up the best ideas, take them back to our schools, and hopefully make the most from it. So I wanted to touch very, very lightly, we're not going to go into any lessons here, about where technology fits into. Teachers in the room may well recognise this. For non-teachers, it's just a simple part, which is, there's a view, TPAC. Teachers have their content knowledge. You went to university, you studied history, and you've got your pedagogical knowledge, you taught and learned as a teacher. But technology sits as that underpinning framework, how it can enhance the way that a teacher can deliver the content knowledge and teaching within the classroom. And it's all built around the concept of, there's stuff we do with paper that we could replace and do more efficiently for the right reasons, and we're back to our eyes. You know, what's the reason we're doing it? What's the intent? How are we going to actually deliver that? And what's the impact? Well, looking at an atlas is one way we used to find out about places around the world, and now looking at it on Google Maps, where we can actually augment and add extra stuff like distance between places and historical notes, is a way that we can actually use technology to augment the way we did things previously. And surely that applies in the same way in the classroom, rather than just perhaps considering our iPads or Android tablets are just a device to consume and read information. They can be so much more without spending any more. So questions I think are really important is, how often are we using our kit? Are they used just to consume information? Who's leading a digital strategy? Have we got a strategy? And one of the strands is, should the strategy be led by budget? Should the conversation for each of us in governance in schools should be, can we afford some kit? Or should the conversation be, who is looking at what we want to achieve in terms of impact in the classroom, and then how do we shape either the kit we've got or our future planning to deliver that? There has to be a driving point, which is what we want to do in the classroom. Do the staff get sufficient training? Number one challenge. Schools, in many ways, are often good at buying something and then not allocating a similar pot for making sure people get up to date. And my big mantra, and I know many here will share it because it's been discussed before, you know, and we talk about challenges in Peterborough and in many cities around the country. But if we do exactly the same things as we've always done, is it not unreasonable to expect we'll get the same outcomes? It doesn't matter whether we bring our business or our other experience to schools. Surely something has to change if you want to have an impact. And typically it's not one big thing, it's marginal gains. Lots of little things have a creative overview. And I put this slide up just because that's what teachers recognise, and many of us recognise in the workplace, frankly. You want to introduce something, you've got to move from survival level to mastery, all the way to innovation. Who in your school is going to be the stakeholder that says, I'm the flag bearer for how we can use tech more effectively, we can work more efficiently in the classroom? Or is everybody going to get handed a box and say, plug it in and good luck, see you at the end of the term? You know, because we can guarantee what's going to happen. They will close the lid and it shall not be used. And so that's what we're trying to move along. So it's thinking about how we can actually start from that starting point and do it. And the best way to do it is to talk about how somebody else did it, back to our view. So I very kindly asked Becky to join us, who's patiently waiting over there. But the same conversation was had at Dogsthorpe Infants. And the first flag would be, infant school, that's little people. Surely little people and technology, that doesn't automatically fit. But actually, nothing could be further from the truth, could it, Becky?
Absolutely. Our children come in being able to use all technology. They're actually more skilled than some of our staff at times. I think they're born being able to do this.
Digital natives, I think is the term.
Absolutely. So yeah, we need to absolutely focus it in on the we can use.
And so the Dogsthorpe had to have a plan, and the plan was thinking about how do we create a space, and that tied in fairly to the fact that school needed more space, with something that also people, children, would be inspired to go into, somewhere special that would actually be a trigger for that creative learning. Now we're very lucky that we had a head teacher who had a husband who managed to know a man with a bus, who managed to give us a bus that arrived back at the school, and all sorts of things dovetailed together. But fundamentally it was about the learning space, wasn't it?
Yeah, we looked at the bus, and to begin with it was, what can we do with it, how can we make it exciting? And it was our Year 2 lead that said, hang on a minute, I need it to be something that I cannot do in the classroom, otherwise what's the point in going out in the rain to get to the bus? So the learning journey bus idea developed, and obviously with our tech head started to become just an amazing learning space. As you can see, we're now up to 16 VR headsets, we've got 10 mini iPads in there, merge cubes, t-shirts, sticker things, you name it, we've just about probably got it in there. And to go on the bus and see children, these are our Year 2 children, they've got sharks on there to actually see all our learners, regardless of ability, regardless of language, being able to scream because a shark, in their view, is swimming past their eyes. They scream, they shout. It just breaks down all barriers of language and ability. This was our opening day back in November. We had an amazing opening. Alan and his team came to lead some sessions, and these children won the chance to go on first. They got their golden tickets to go and learn all about the tech stuff that we've got, and we're just looking to build it up. But the children, the staff, it inspires writing, it helps staff retention, because our staff never know what's going to happen next. And fellow governors here, you absolutely, they just don't know what's going to come next. We buy more things, we get them trained up. We do have staff that are more reluctant than others, but we're just working with them at their level and their pace so that they can deliver sessions like that.
Perfect. Thank you, Becky. And I think the thing is, observationally, is seeing that perhaps some of the more reluctant learners are the ones that are first in the queue to engage because they see a purpose. This is the Dogsthorpe Learning Journey bus. And one of the nice things was, as well as having the golden tickets for those award winners, already it's also about building pride, although there's plenty of pride at Dogsthorpe already, like many schools in Peterborough, but already the school's being recognised nationally as one to watch in terms of what it's doing with technology in a way that can inspire both teachers and learners to do things differently in the classroom. Now ultimately the jury will be what's the level of impact, and Dogsthorpe is on a journey. But if the confidence is there from staff and from governors that the children are finding different ways to learn, and I guess as we hark back to earlier presentation, to retain it, we all learn in different ways. I mean, I'm certainly aware that my children at the age of 7 could recount 500 different Pokemon, but not many when it came to vocabulary or spelling words. And so children learn different things based on interest, and it hopefully inspires. So what we wanted to do, and Becky has very kindly agreed to be my guinea pig, is just show you some of the things that cost, frankly, not a lot, if anything, that you can do in your classroom if you've already had iPads or Android tablets. So one of the things, if you're okay to pop over here, Becky, is I set Mrs. Kingsley some homework last night and asked her to produce some worksheets talking about some different topics. And you'll see here we have a train, which a child could colour in, and we might be learning about transport. But using a free app, you can see there Quiver, we can actually take that out, and if I just was able to scan, that picture we have there, make sure we can get it. You'll see if you turn it flat, it'll pop up for me. You'll see, oh, this is Kingsley's train. Just pop it in. There you go. It's actually a virtual reality train, and we can actually engage with it, and we can go driving with it. Now what we've done is leave the child to create the image and design and picture, but we've turned it into something that actually allows them to be inspired by it, and perhaps that will then move on to some creative writing. Mrs. Kingsley also did Dinosaur, which is certainly something that I quite like to see as a learning process, but you'll see very quickly. Now, I would suggest there are not many children in an infant school that wouldn't see that and find that that was something that would engage them and activate them in terms of their learning. And there are all sorts of resources like that. That was the dinosaur. And we'll just do one last one before we change to a different app. So here we've got a goldfish that doesn't appear to be quite the right colourings. But again, it's about inspiring, and that is something that if you already have tablets, there is no cost to that. Now, if we switch across, one of the things we often want to do with our children is talk about space. Now, Dogstore are a school that embrace merge cubes, and at a simple level, there's something nice and soft that you can throw about and have a bit of fun with, but they turn into all sorts of amazing things. So if we scan Becky's hand, we'd like to explore the universe. So we'll just have a look at what Becky's got in her hand, and if you rotate it for me slightly, Becky, you'll see we have, within Becky's hand, the whole of the solar system. We can explore it, we can find out about planets, we can find information, we can discover bits and pieces, and you'll see it's an entirely virtual space that the child can explore with. And this is a fantastic way of introducing not only motor skills for children to play with it, but a way that they can see all sorts of curriculum resources. These items here, merge cubes, £15, they're a lifetime thing. There are dozens and dozens of apps that you can use for them. And if I pop up a different app that uses a merge cube, maybe we'll go to something for older children. Let's look at my museum viewer, which is always something I like to show people. Hopefully it'll pop up in a second. We can also look from a Key Stage 4 or Key Stage 5 point of view, and we can look at things like pieces of artwork. So if I go to my phone mode, skip that. We have to just pop backwards very quickly, as is manual. If I look now, you'll see, if I just rotate back if you don't mind, we've got all sorts of different famous pieces of artwork here. So we've got the bust of Pericles, and if I take that bust and paste it in the world, let me just find a spot, pop it there. You'll see if I stand back, I've now got it in my museum. We can now explore my cultural works and art around the classroom, and I can access all sorts of different content. The Merge Cube becomes a platform for all kinds of different learning techniques and different content, all without needing to pay for a school visit, which again helps with the budget, but complements other bits and pieces. The other thing that Dogstore are really keen on...
Oh, sorry, those Merge Cubes, do they link up with the VR headset?
They're completely separate. So the Merge Cubes are standalone as an augmented reality tool.
Yeah, but can you use it with the VR headset? Because that must be pretty...
No, the VR headsets provide a different set of content that you can use alongside it. They're not linked as two different comparable software products. I'm just going to open up on my very busy iPad some extra resources for AR demo 1.25. So one thing we also do is we provide decks of cards. Now these are really fantastic because, as Becky showed you, you can buy a pack of 20 or 30 cards for a few pounds. So if we were learning about blue whale, in this case here, or a seahorse, whatever Becky fancies, we could talk about it, but we could also just scan it like we're doing here. And you'll see I now have a blue whale in Becky's hand that she can lift up and move about, and we can discover it, we can see the animal, and of course, depending on our learners, we just tipped away from it slightly there, we can also pop and we can do quizzes and we can find out about blue whales, and we can then link that into other work. If we swap to another animal, what have we got on your pad? Oh, we've got seahorse. You'll see we've got our seahorse here. So we can do all sorts of different resources that just pop together. And this also has things like science. We've got a spare science one in there. We can also do planets, we can do elements, we can bring it into different levels of the curriculum. We've actually got a pretty funky Saturn there. But again, we're moving from visual to actually finding out about it, to why, play quizzes about it. understanding more about it. And so it's different ways of learning, but using the same technology. If we go back very briefly to our merge queue, we could. If we think about slightly older learning age group, again, we've got the same resource that we could use in our early years or key stage. We could also just look at the same merge cube, and you'll see it now has become a resource for looking at parts of the anatomy. If I just rotate around so we've got an eye, we'll have a look at this eye. You'll see that Becky is now holding a fully three-dimensional eye, but we can look inside and we can see what's happening, and we can start to do work in actually understanding parts of the anatomy as part of our GCSE biology curriculum. It's the same resource, we can share it between different year groups and capacity, and it's all there to support teaching and learning. And the fundamentals that I really wanted just to share, and obviously the starting point is, you need leadership that want to do something different, that want to engage with it and be part of it. You need a governing body that say, come on, let's think about ways to do it. But then you've got to do it for a purpose. There's no point in doing it because it's cool. It's got to have an impact, and you can only judge the impact by speaking to other schools or trying it in a small, free way, spending 15 or 20 pounds and utilising a resisting kit. So I guess my challenge for everyone today is when you go back to your governing body meetings next half term, is ask the question, what's our plan? Do we have a plan? Could we use our kit more effectively? Do we have any staff that would like to try? Does anybody want to speak to another school like Dogsthorpe and find out or come visit what they're doing? And I think in terms of visits, you will be
more than happy to open the bus up, get all the kit out, come and see us.
And that is our very brief presentation for you this morning. Thank you.